Community Dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar. Good evening and thank you for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM. We are worldwide at wadr.org. This is Newslink. Here are the top stories. Mali takes delivery of petroleum products from Côte d'Ivoire amid severe fuel shortages. Liberia readies to chair UN sanctions committees as it receives nominations.
These P5 countries will be the ones taking decisions. So Liberia is now at the table for these global conversations and now being asked to shape some of the responses to some of the conflicts in the world.
Nigeria and the European Union partner to promote political, economic and humanitarian sectors. Ghana's special prosecutor probes $94 million gold trade loss. Rates target gold breach officers. Please stay tuned for details of the stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. Newslink begins in Mali, where there seems to be a sign of relief over the looming fuel scarcity crisis induced by armed groups operating in the northern region. On Wednesday, a large convoy of fuel tankers arrived in the capital, Bamako, under heavy military escort. The supply, authorities say, is expected to ease weeks of scarcity that have crippled transport and driven up prices across the country. Residents struggling with a severe fuel shortage hope that the current intervention suffices. Sankule Janko reports.
A convoy of several dozen tanker trucks rolled into Bamako on Wednesday night, bringing in much-needed fuel from neighboring Ivory Coast. The trucks were received at the Customs Petroleum Office, where officials have launched round-the-clock operations to fast-track distribution. Authorities say priority will be given to public transport and emergency vehicles as efforts continue to restore normal supply to fuel stations. Other regions include Segu, Mopti, and Kuchela are also expected to be resupplied in the coming days. The fuel crisis has left long queues at stations and pushed pump prices well above official rates. Officials blame the shortages on supply challenges and growing insecurity along transport routes. Armed group JNIM has intensified attacks on convoys, with the latest incident reported yesterday near Kati, about 50 kilometers from Bamako. The number of casualties has not yet been confirmed.
Sankule Janko reporting there. Meanwhile, Western governments are urging their citizens to leave Mali immediately as a result of worsening fuel shortage and rising insecurity. This week, both the United States and Italy issued emergency notices warning of the rapidly deteriorating situation. The U.S. Embassy in Bamako, in a statement on Tuesday, called on American citizens to depart by air or to establish personnel security measures if evacuation was not possible. The following day, Wednesday, October 29, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a similar advisory, urging Italian nationals to leave Mali as soon as possible. Still in the Sahel, but in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, the nation's capital, is hosting former South African President Jacob Zuma. The statesman arrived in Ouagadougou as part of a larger trip involving 700 people of African descent from the United States who had come to experience Africa through Burkina Faso. While in the land of the upright men, the former South African president is expected to deliver a public lecture.
And I'm sure we'll have more time to talk about many things.
What we see here makes us happy, and we hope to have more time to talk about it. We are very happy to be in a country that makes very correct decisions, and we will talk about many things that interest Africans, including those who do not understand the true meaning of our freedom.
Some of our Africans here who could not understand the real freedom.
It is a process of symbolic return and memorial reconciliation that places Burkina Faso as a welcoming country, but also a country of hope and a country of hospitality for many Africans of the diaspora around the world.
Away from the Sahel, the Ivorian opposition coalition known as the Common Front has announced a major protest on Saturday, November 8, 2025. The demonstration, which will coincide with the official declaration of the October 25 presidential election results, is to denounce what the PPACI and PDCI describe as authoritarian practices in the country. At a press conference on Wednesday, the opposition political parties also demanded the release of all political prisoners. This latest response occurs amid reports that several opposition members have been summoned by the Abidjan Police Prefecture. Christopher Ticho reports.
13 officials from the PPACI and PDCI-RDA parties are reportedly under police scrutiny. This announcement was made by the Common Front, which described the move as a political maneuver aimed at eliminating influential opposition figures ahead of the upcoming legislative elections. The Common Front condemns the use of state institutions for partisan purposes. Jean-Jave Chide, deputy spokesperson of the PPACI, voices these concerns.
The results of the presidential election show enough that despite the manipulation of the figures, the RHDP regime does not have the majority of the daily population. It therefore fears a large defeat in the next legislative session, a defeat that would weaken its fourth mandate, which the people do not want. The strategy therefore consists to prevent deputies from leaving or any other personality from this common front, influential in their region, from becoming candidates for the next legislative election by a judicial subcontract.
According to Chidem, these sermons are part of a broader strategy intended to silence the opposition parties.
To protect the unique party in our country, which seems to be more comfortable, the next step is to take it from President Laurent Gbagbo and President Sheikh Tidiane Cham of the PDCR.
After a period of calm over the past 48 hours, the African People's Party of Côte d'Ivoire has announced plans for a large peaceful march scheduled for Saturday, November 8, 2025. The march aims to protest the violence suffered by civilians and to demand the release of all political prisoners. Observers suggest that this initiative could reignite tensions in an already fragile socio-political climate.
Christopher Tisho reporting there.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we stream live on wadr.org and across our social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook at WADR English. In the Gambia, the Special Select Committee established to investigate the sale and disposal of former President Yahya Jammeh's assets has charged Sergeant Adama Jane with contempt of the National Assembly. Jane, who has appeared before the committee on 4 separate occasions, allegedly contacted or attempted to influence potential witnesses related to the ongoing investigations. His arrest was carried out by the Sergeant-at-Arms, who then transferred him to the military police of the Gambia Armed Forces. This action is in accordance with Sections 109 and 110 of the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, as well as Orders 102 and 140 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly and the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act. The information was relayed by Abdoulaye Cisse, chairman of the National Assembly Select Committee on the sale and disposal of the former president Yahya Jammeh's asset. More on legal matters, the Office of Ghana's Special Prosecutor has conducted high-profile searches in its ongoing investigation into the Minerals Income Investment Fund Gold Trade Program, which is alleged to have caused a loss of $94 million to the state. The raid took place at the Trasao residence of Nana Yo Dudu, also known as Dr. Sled, and at the East Legon offices of Gold Ridge Company Limited under warrants issued by the High Court in Accra. Nana Yo Dudu, Chief Executive Officer of Gold Ridge Refinery Limited, is facing scrutiny for suspected corruption and corruption-related offences linked to the Mineral Investment Fund Gold Trade Program, the OSP confirmed. In a post shared via X on Wednesday, Ghana's special prosecutor stated that the asset recovery and management team seized luxury vehicles, jewelry, weapons, and documents relating to landed properties during the operations. Nana Yo Dodu was arrested on September 30, 2025, due to Gold Ridge's alleged failure to fulfill its obligations in trade transactions under the Gold for Forex and Gold for Oil initiatives. Elsewhere, the European Union (EU) has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening its relations in political, economic and humanitarian areas in Nigeria. EU ambassador to the country and ECOWAS, Gautier Minot, shared this message during his visit to the National Assembly on Wednesday. He discussed the EU's current and future collaboration efforts with Nigeria. From Abuja, Usman Umar reports.
In his remarks to the members of the Nigerian Senate, Ambassador Gautier Minot emphasized the long-standing partnership between Nigeria and the European Union, describing it as one based on shared values and mutual trust. He noted the EU is Nigeria's largest trading partner and the biggest market for non-oil exports, with nearly one-third of the country's foreign direct investment originating from Europe. Minot added that the EU's Global Gateway investment strategy is opening up new areas of cooperation, particularly in renewable energy, digital transformation, climate resilience, smart agriculture, health and transport. He revealed that the European Union Investment Bank and other EU financial institutions are investing billions of euros into joint investments across these sectors aimed at supporting sustainable development in Nigeria. Regarding security, the EU envoy acknowledged the challenges Nigeria faces, especially in the north, and pledged ongoing EU support to help the country address insecurity and assist internally displaced persons.
The European Union is also actively supporting Nigeria to face insecurity, which is a huge challenge in some parts of the country, and to build peace, protecting all populations, minorities and internally displaced people. We have discussed this with the authorities and inside the Team Europe.
Ambassador Minot further outlined 4 dimensions of EU-Nigeria engagement, namely political dialogue, trade and economic partnership, development cooperation, and institutional coordination with EU member states. He concluded by stating that Nigeria is not just another African country, but an emerging continental and global giant with which the EU seeks a future-oriented, mutually beneficial partnership. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
It's good news for Liberia as the country gets nominations for leadership positions within key United Nations sanctions committees. These nominations are subject to final approval by the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. But if approved, Liberia will assume the chairmanship of the UN Sanctions Committee on Sudan, as well as co-chairmanships of the sanctions committees for both the Democratic Republic of Congo and Yemen. As a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, this development may indicate a potential shift in Liberia's international standing and its role in global security governance. Abraham Parker tells us more.
If confirmed as chair of the Sudan Sanctions Committee, Liberia would be responsible for directing the committee's agenda, mediating negotiations, and defining the scope of implementation of sanctions aimed at restoring stability and protecting civilian populations in Sudan. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, as co-chair of the committee, Liberia would play a crucial role in addressing the country's ongoing instability. Foreign Affairs Minister Sarah Beslo-Yanti attributes the country's successful nominations to strategic diplomatic engagements aimed at restoring its integrity and enhancing its global standing.
Recently, I was in the U.S. meeting Secretary of State Marco Rubio. These P5 countries will be the ones taking decisions. So Liberia is now at the table for these global conversations and now being asked to shape some of the responses to some of the conflicts in the world.
The Liberian Foreign Affairs Minister added that the country remains engaged with various nations, noting that President Joseph Boaká's ongoing state visit with French President Emmanuel Macron aims to address strengthening bilateral ties and the support for Liberia's proposed roles.
The tete-a-tete between the two leaders and so forth would then lead to whatever the joint statement will be following the tete-a-tete.
At the same time, the confirmation of these nominations has been met with optimism by some Liberian citizens who view it as a significant boost, especially given past instances where Liberian officials faced international sanctions due to allegations of corruption and actions undermining regional stability. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and across the world at wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Mali receives a huge delivery of petroleum products from Côte d'Ivoire amid severe fuel shortages. Liberia readies to chair UN sanctions committees as it receives nominations. Nigeria and the European Union to partner on political, economic and humanitarian areas. We also told you that the Ghana's special prosecutors probing a $94 million gold trade loss. Still ahead in the news, we have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. Now in Sierra Leone, security agencies in the Port Loco district within the northwestern region of the country are investigating the mysterious death of a military officer. Sergeant Alhaji Ibayo of the Lungi 3 Infantry Battalion had been deployed at the Commodity Trading Company CTC mining site in Biri Junction. According to police sources, the incident was first reported on October 27, 2025 by Umaru Bilkish Kamara, the community liaison officer for CTC Mining Company, and Corporal Conte, who also serves at the site. The two men reportedly discovered Sergeant Abayo's lifeless body in a pit within the mining area. Across the African continent, and particularly in West Africa, outdated, inadequate, or climate-vulnerable storage facilities are impacting food security. Not only are people starving, but economies are drowning, income streams are lost, and the environment is affected. Tons of food harvest estimated at $10 trillion are lost annually during post-harvest. Many experts, agricultural stakeholders, scientists, researchers, and organizations strongly believe improving food storage capabilities in countries should go alongside other sustainable measures during related conversations. Imoredet has more in this special report.
In the last 2 decades, food storage problems have been attributed to improper temperature and humidity control. This condition leads to spoilage and exposure to oxygen, light and pests, which degrades quality and safety, an argument experts present as Africa's biggest challenge to food security and sovereignty. Famara Jeju, Program Officer at the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa and West Africa Bureau, speaks.
Research has shown that from the farm, if you harvest, let us say that if you harvest 100 kilograms, before it reaches your plate for food, or before it reaches the storage place, you can lose up between 30 and 50% of your production. So that's where we have problem. And if someone wants to work on Africa's food security, the work is on the processing system, on the added value, and make sure between the harvest period and where you are consuming, there is no loss.
Households across all continents wasted over 1 billion meals a day in 2022, while 783 million people were affected by hunger, and a third of humanity face food insecurity. Food waste continues to hurt the global economy and fuel climate change, nature loss, and pollution. These are the key findings of a UN Environment Programme UNEP report published in 2024. Antonio Guterres is the UN Secretary General.
Global hunger is rising, trade shocks are pushing food prices out of reach. 1/3 of the world's people cannot afford a healthy diet, while 1/3 of the world's food is lost or wasted. The hidden costs of our food systems on health, nature, and human suffering exceed $10 trillion a year. That's more than 3 times the GDP of the African continent. This is not just a crisis of scarcity, it is a crisis of justice, equity, and climate.
Inadequate storage can cause foodborne illnesses, significant waste, and economic losses, particularly in regions with poor infrastructure. Ones Karuho, a special advisor on food systems at the WFP Regional Office for West and Central Africa, says,
it's true that health workers are reporting, some instances of illness. By the way, people trace it all the way to cancer, because there are many chemicals that are being used to treat crops or to maintain quality of crops by minimizing the incidences of pest attack, including weevils and rodents. For us as WFP, we encourage people to adopt what we call hermetic solutions. These are bags that you close and the air cannot get in. So any weevil that is inside cannot survive, and also those that are outside cannot get in.
Abubakar Noma, a farmer in northern Nigeria, where the climate crisis has altered the efficiency of traditional food storage methods, counts his post-harvest.
Last day, 400 timbers of yam. I lost it because it had been spoiled because of the heat. And I used to keep it in bacha. And sunshine, say bacha is very heat. So 400 timbers has been lost. It will cost me about 500,000 naira.
Agricultural economists say they are following the trend and tracking the economic impact of food waste due to poor storage for medium and small-scale farmers. Tefa Ibrahim is one of them.
Planning is what is required to have a very robust storage system. How much of our population should we be able to feed with rice and beans in the next 8 months when bean season is over or rice season is over? So it's deliberate. It's something government must have a proper handle over.
In the Sahel region of West Africa, the challenge of food storage hits on many levels, says Yusuf Ouattara, a Burkinabe farmer.
Most of the system in the villages are traditional system. Those are barns where people will harvest corn and millet and then put it in the barn. That's why some people are obliged to sell some of the cereal. So I think it's a big challenge. I think the warehouse need to be built in more remote villages. And I think this system will allow very small farmers to have a storage system that can let them have the right revenue from their activity, because if you are obliged to sell your crops at the beginning of the selling season, then you will miss the right price, actually.
The UN World Food Programme says it is collaborating with industry players to guide innovative interventions in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, the Gambia, Ghana, and other countries of West and Central Africa where food storage remains a challenge. However, experts urge adequate funding, modern technology and transformative policies in the agricultural sector to boost the food systems.
Imoraded with that special report.
Politics,
analyses on major news,
social matters and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest interview this evening is a focus on Liberia's nominations for leadership positions within key United Nations sanctions committees. As a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, this development may indicate a potential shift in Liberia's international standing and its role in global security governance. These nominations are, however, subject to final approval by the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. To analyze what this really means for Liberia's foreign policy and more, we are being joined by Alhaji Sam Seyon, a security and governance expert.
Well, I think from what we see, Liberia is historically a member of all the international organizations. Liberia is a founding member of the Organization of African Unity today, the AU. Liberia is also a founding member. In fact, Liberia initiated the Economic Community of West African State, ECOWAS, with basically from economic state and transforming to ECOMO and all of the security protocols and all of that. So Liberia nomination cannot be strained. Liberia is strategically right now placed at the UN Security Council position. This position provides an opportunity for Liberia to strike diplomatically and for Liberia to be able to negotiate and renegotiate its positions. So that would come basically with the level of security precaution, the procedure that have taken place in Liberia. Liberia has upgraded the security status in West Africa. Liberia is one of the most stable countries in West Africa right now for the last 8 years running right now. The country is stable, it's safe, it's kind, democracy is here, freedom of speech is here. So Liberia stands to benefit because of the stability of our country and our region.
Sir, how significant is it for a non-permanent member like Liberia to co-chair such sensitive committees?
Well, it is sensitive indeed, yes, because Liberia rose in a path where the international community has always indicated and signaled that Liberia is a country. Liberia is playing, like I said clearly, Liberia have the ability to negotiate peace across the world. Liberia is a country that normally hosts peace for other people. Liberia welcomes people from every part of the world. Liberia has a power. The way security is being coordinated in Liberia, starting with security. You know, when there's no security anywhere, there's no stability, nobody will nominate you to any position or any elevation level. Liberia is being elevated today because Liberia have paid her price. Liberia has security for our country, our region. For the past 7 years, Liberia is just heading high and high. You know, when the war ended in Liberia, civil war devastated Liberia for 14 years. When the war ended in Liberia became a wave of path. Liberia has been on the path of peace and security, working with the regional allies, ensuring that there's peace and security in Liberia, that there's no trouble, there's no extension, there's no rebellion coming from Liberia. Nobody leave from Liberia to go to Cote d'Ivoire and cause trouble. Nobody leave from Liberia and go to Guinea to cause trouble. Nobody leave from Sierra Leone and go to Liberia to cause trouble. So this thing has helped a lot. Liberia continue to play her role in the international communities of nations. And I think this is not a surprise because Liberia has earned her place as a country with integrity and stability.
What impact, sir, could Liberia's leadership roles have on its foreign policy and regional security engagement, particularly after this nomination?
Well, Liberia, the impact will be very significant for Liberia because Liberia stands at the crossroad. Liberia historically have played the multilateral role in showing that there is peace, security, and stability in the region. The impact on Liberia will bring in investors in Liberia, will bring in businesses in Liberia, will bring tourists in Liberia. Just how tourists go to the Gambia. Liberia will start to benefit immensely from the international partner because of that role. So this is great. It's a great improvement. It's significant development for our country, Liberia, and I think we are getting there. We're not there yet, but very soon, Liberia will find herself at the top of the map in Africa. And this is where we were before. It's just a civil war that devastated our country and took us way back to the bottom of the line. Liberia has always been on top of the line. Liberia has always been in the first place. And unfortunately, the war brought us back, and we see ourselves rolling back. And I say the impact will positively impact. So not only Liberia, it will impact the entire ECOWAS region. And I think I want to say kudos to the ECOWAS Economic Community of West Africa, say kudos to all of our African partners that have supported Liberia and continue to support our country for the peace, security, and stability that we enjoy today.
Alhaji Sam Seyon is a Liberian security and governance expert. In the world of sport, the Confederation of African Football CAF has launched a tender process for the media rights of the CAF inter-club competitions, the Total Energies CAF Champions League and Total Energies CAF Confederation Cup 2025-2026 season. The tender, which also includes the Total Energies CAF Super Club 2026 and CAF Women's Champions League 2026, will close on Monday, November 10. The CAF inter-club competitions recorded a 35% increase in TV audiences in sub-Saharan Africa during the previous season, while North Africa and the MENA region continued to drive global demand with over 40% audience growth. And that's it on Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Falil Su and Ismaila Kamara for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, Instagram, and Facebook at WADR English, and stream live at WADR.org. I am Abdullahi Hassan. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County.
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM, Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.